Notice that this one does not say very, very, very easy. It just says easy. So this might be the most challenging of this set. Again, it's possible that we did some harder ones in class, but when it comes to skill building and going online, I like to start with maybe even some easier ones just to make sure we're developing those skills and whatnot. Okay, so item 3, easy, not very, very easy. So go ahead and give this a try. Okay, see if you are able to get this done correctly given the baseline practice and whatnot, and then resume this video to check your answers. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the answer. I'm no longer going to ask review questions or do any kind of iteration. We're just going to go through the answer, and given your careful following and attention to what I said in the previous 2 videos of this practice set, I'm going to assume that you're able to make sense of why something is or is not the correct answer. Okay, so wait, do you think we can do a concept diagram for the sign concept? Oh, look, it's in quotation marks. That's probably the concept of a concept that they're interested in. And in fact, they just said that, right? Do you think we can do a concept diagram for the sign concept? That seems to me to be starting off really easy. They're telling you sign and then concepts in quotation marks. So of course we're going to write the word sign above the word concept itself. Obviously, concept is the sign. Oh my gosh, we're pretty much just giving it away, okay? Still, we're going to label because that's what we do here in the class. I think she gave us the definition for concept. There's the sign again, okay? They're letting us know that they're about to give a definition. At the top of our notes titled, Our Concept of a Concept, the notes we took in class on our own paper. Notice that we're not writing the word sign in this instance above the word concepts. Why? Because they're just referring to a title that uses the word. In the title of the document, they're not saying in the title itself that we're going to do a diagram or this is the main concept. It's just saying this is the topic generally speaking. Okay, so they're just talking, they're giving contextual information as to where the definition might be, but no definition itself or example itself is given yet. And then they say, let me check. Yes, here it is. She defined, right? So now we're actually about to get the definition. And then they're saying she defined that sign, right, as an organizing idea. So really, we want to include the word and. Remember what I said about little words like when, and, the, a, any, that those should be included if they're right at the beginning of a definition, which and is. So an organizing idea we use to organize experience and make sense of it. Timeout. This might be a slightly different definition that I gave you than what I gave you guys in POL 1, and that's okay, or in some lesson that focused on concept. It's basically the same. But of course, you should have written the word what? Definition over that, which was has a wavy underline. I didn't mean to go this far, so I'm going to cross it out because that's a mistake I made. I only meant to go to the end of that. I now realize that in the day 1 lecture, the following count as examples of how she's using the sign, right? They're saying again, they're talking about how I use that sign, right? But they themselves are not using that sign in and of itself. But now we see that they're really being explicit about the fact that they're about to give examples, right? So then the examples, there's 3 of them. So morality is an example. And notice how they're enumerating them, numbering them, and then knowledge. So those are the examples. So I'm just going to write examples in capital letters to make it stand out a little bit more. Okay, so that says examples right there. All right, so this one to me is more difficult because, like the second one, it's drawing on the lesson of a concept, and it's using some of the words in 2 ways. Some of the conceptual terminology in 2 ways. Let's go ahead and check our concept triangles. Okay, so of course here you should have what? The word concept. All right, and then you should have started with the word and. So this is exactly how your triangle should look with respect to punctuation, the wording, quotation marks, no labeling. And then the examples would be, there's three, so there's morality, reality, and what was the other one? Knowledge. It's okay if you numbered these. Actually, you could have said 1, morality, which would be cool, 2, reality, 3, knowledge. So she said, so these are examples of concepts. Notice that it didn't say examples of signs. That's why these aren't in quotation marks, and that'd be too messy for how I'm teaching this. All right, so how did you do? How did this go? Keep in mind that the next practice set is going to be a little bit more challenging, and that I will give it to you or present it during a future, maybe within, I would say, like the next unit, sometime during the next unit. Review this constantly because you never know when you're going to do this for a grade in a test or during class assignment or whatnot.